Hi everybody, welcome to You Can Do Math. Let's say that you have a quadratic equation and the leading coefficient is 1, but the equation is not in standard form. What do we do? Well, today we're going to find out. All right, take a look at the very first example. We have x squared plus 6x equals a negative 9. This is definitely not in standard form. Remember, standard form is going to have all your terms on one side of the equation and it's going to equal 0. So in this case, we need to make our equation equal to 0, right? We need to add the 9 to the other side of the equation. Now we don't have any like terms, so we're going to put all three terms next to each other. So it becomes x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 0. There are a couple important things that I need to note here. The first is that the x squared needs to be first in standard form. The second term with the x must be second, and that 9, that plus 9, when we added it to the other side, that is our constant, and our constant needs to be our third term in order for us to factor correctly, and then it equals 0. Which now our equation is in standard form, so now we can factor. I'm going to break it into two parentheses right away. X times x gives us our x squared, and our factors of 9 are, well, 9 and 1, 3 and 3, and 3 and 3 are the two that are going to work because when we add 3 and 3, we get the middle term of 6. All right, so don't forget that factored form does still equal 0. I see sometimes students just write the factored form and then they drop the equals 0. Don't drop the equals 0. Okay, so once that happens, now we can set up our two separate equations of x plus 3 equals 0, that first parentheses equals 0, and then the second second parenthesis of x plus 3 equals 0. And they're the exact same thing, and that's okay. When we subtract the 3 to the other side, both of these are going to be x equals negative 3. So what does that mean for our quadratic? Well, if we were to graph, right, so I'm just going to draw a little graph off to the side, that means that our parabola is only going to touch the x-axis at negative 3, okay? So that means at negative 3, our parabola only touches, boom, hits at negative 3, and then goes back up again. All right, let's take a look at example number 2. Let's try x squared plus 7, tricky, equals a negative 8x. All right, I want to slow this down and kind of think about it for a second. What do you notice? We notice we have two terms on the left-hand side. We have the leading x squared and we have the constant, just the 7, right? And then that equals negative 8x. We need to add it to the other side. So plus 8x and a plus 8x. Now that 8x is our middle term, very important. So when we rewrite our equation, x squared plus 8x plus 7, we need to make sure that is written in the middle. And that equals 0. All right, just double check. Is this in standard form? Ask yourself, is it in standard form? Do we have the x squared first? Check. Do we have the middle term with the x? Check. And then do we have a constant after that, the third one? Yes, we do. And then it equals 0. Perfect. So now we can factor. All right, so I still know that x times x is x squared, and the factors of 7 are just 7 and 1, and they're both going to be positive. So plus 7 and plus 1, and now you can set up your two separate equations, the x plus 7 equals 0 and the x plus 1 equals 0. And then solving each equation separately, x is a negative 7 and x is a negative 1, and those are our two solutions to that quadratic equation.